Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's an all-you-can-geek bonus round for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Troy Feinsod,
Hello.
and Tony Korkanakis.
For those that come after.
Bonjour.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers. If you're watching this live on Twitch, welcome. If we're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe on both. That way you'll get notified when we go live or when we post. This is a spoiler cast for Expedition 33. So if you have not finished the game and care about spoilers, you might want to just tune into this later. Otherwise, stay tuned for some great conversation pieces about questions and answers and what we thought of the game. Full spoilers happening of who dies and whatnot. Last warning, it's over with. Here we go. Game opening sequence by its way. What a hook this game has to hook you into this world. One of these games for me, like we've talked about this in the podcast. For me, like I need a fast hook. I can't have a game that makes you play for 10 hours and doesn't have that hook yet for you. And like this world that they brought you with the mystery of the paintress, it just immediately mystery wise, you're like, what is happening? And then obviously as you launch your expedition and get that instant hook, which would be slaughtering of everybody, it just brings you right into this
That's
world.
the hook for you?
That for me was the paintress was the hook. I was like, why is people disappearing? But then when you had the
you're
slaughter,
like going right
for me, it
to
was,
that.
no, for me that was
the
the no, I'm not bearing the lead. The disappearing part was interesting mystery for me, but like the actual draw in the game was right up when you land. I was like, oh my god, I gotta find out what the hell's going.
How much
I already
time did
knew
you
it was going.
spend
Like, I
in
already had
the
questions.
beginning part?
in Lumiere in
And
the beginning.
I'm not going through anything of that. But go on. I'm just telling you.
no,
My
I'm
hook.
asking how much time, because you're saying instantly the opening. Like I don't consider that the opening. That's
No,
all.
I mean, I walked around the whole town. I talked to everybody in the area there, so I got their backstories about Gustav and Mael and all
Did you
them.
find the optional mime?
No, I did not.
No.
So, you guys all
I
found
didn't
that?
either, actually.
Okay.
No, I saw someone else do it. I'm like, oh, but I'm mad
So-
I missed it. But
What were you guys thinking with this gommage, the gommage happening there? Like that was the big thing.
So,
for me.
yeah,
This
that
was
was
like,
the hook for me because, again, obviously
I mean, we kind of knew about it going in. Like that's the premise.
I knew
of the
about that. That's
game.
why.
It was
Yeah.
Sort of explained even in that trailer, the last one we saw.
Yeah.
But
That's what got me to play it. But
Yeah.
that mystery. But go on.
Well, no, I was gonna say the game does a good job of, fish out of water, right? Where it's like, if you didn't watch the
Yes.
trailers, and somebody was just like, play this game without, like we covered in the movie cast tonight, just play this game, go in as blind as possible, and just have natural reactions to it, right? You can obviously tell by the tones, like, oh, something, people are sad about something, and why? Like you could just have that somber, environment, ambiance, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, what's going on here, right? And just the way Gustav is talking to Mael about like, oh, yep, today's the day, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right. And then there's all these flowers and, it's very specific colored and everybody's talking about gommage. And, if you don't speak French, you know what that means. And it's like, okay, sure. Like, let's go down to the docks now. And, you have this awkward conversation with your ex-girlfriend, Gustav's ex-girlfriend. It's like, all right, something weird is happening and something bad is probably going to happen just again. Something like Severance, where you just know bad's gonna happen, and then it's like, oh, people just get like homage, which is essentially being Thanos dusted from Avengers, but in pretty flower petals instead. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty fucking heavy. But then they explain the whole thing with the paintress, and it's like, oh, like okay, interesting.
So from the beginning, I knew what was going to happen. Like I think I fully like read or understood like the trailer like premise of this game. So I was just like. It's just like, oh, he cares about someone who's going. Like that came pretty quick. I figured that and go, and it's just looking around the area. It's like, is this Paris? This weird like twisted Eiffel Tower? What is all this bluish gunk everywhere? And it's just an interesting like sort of way to establish the universe. But it's also interesting in that like you see the kids dressed as Gestrels, and you're like, what are those?
Yeah, exactly. It's
And then you're like,
That's true.
what is normal?
What's not
What is normal for these people? Like,
right, exactly. It's a fish out of water. It's like you're learning about things that's totally normal to them, like dressing up as a Gestrel and believing. What the fuck is a Gestrel? Like, what are we talking about right now?
And then it's very strange too. And then you start to see like some different perspectives from people in this doomed society, basically. Like, you understand how they all deal with it a little differently. And some people, a lot of them, it seems like kind of don't even care anymore that everyone's dying so quick.
Yeah, just
It's not many, but some of them do. And meanwhile, you, as Gustav, you really get the sense that he's like full on depressed.
Yeah.
Like more than other people in this town, in this universe, which is interesting. But I mean, that's
Yeah,
where you're
no,
at.
for me
That's
too.
your
Like
perspective early.
the opening with you coming in, like having to deal with this day that you've kind of been dreading as
Dreading, yeah.
this character. You know it's coming. You've had this weird relationship, but that's not had closure, and now you have no time left. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to spend as much time in this world right now because something's gonna happen. I need to know what's gonna happen. I need to be able to figure out stuff before the bad thing happens, and I want to talk to everybody. I
You
want
want
to learn
answers
as much
before
as
you
I
get more
can.
questions.
I
Yeah.
want to learn as much as possible what's going to happen and what am I getting myself into and what's going to happen. Like, am I going to be trying to save this person later on? Like, she's obviously come to terms with what's going to happen later and she's ready for it. I'm not ready for it. It's just so many emotions that are going on right now. And like, so for me right away, I was like, this is a very, very emotional, like tugs at your like different emotions left, right. You're getting pulled all over the place emotionally. And so that was very interesting right away. Just like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I mean, the
And
mystery
I
part
tried
was
to talk to everyone you could.
Yeah.
Like
And
yeah.
then
I
you
mean, I talked
learn
to a lot
new
of I
things.
talked
you
to
get a little insight.
Mhm.
you
Well,
do,
yeah,
and
you
but like
kind
I
of
said, I had an idea of what was obviously going on before when, and maybe that's what Tony said. Like going in completely dark in this game probably more powerful, because something's building, you don't know what it is. So I knew what was building, unfortunately there, but it's still impactful and powerful. It's just like, I thought for me, I try to make a guess as to what I'm going to get into here in this game, right? And I'm thinking, okay, this might be like a time travel thing. I'm gonna have to go through and save this person, and obviously I'm wrong as we go, but that was really what I was talking about. I think I talked about with you guys on the podcast at one point or afterwards. We were talking about it, how I had theories about time travel pretty much. So that's what I was thinking in this beginning.
I mean,
seems
yeah,
like
was like,
that's
I'm
the
gonna,
common theory
yeah,
that most people have. Like even like
yeah,
halfway through the game, that's not necessarily true. Although there's definitely time dilation going on, but we'll talk about that later.
yeah. So, but I mean,
Um,
I think we're sorry to interrupt. I think the game really does well is it gets your hooks in right away, right? Because
I think
for
it was
whatever,
quick. It was
whether it's the
quick.
first hour or the second hour, you want to call it the
Doesn't
island,
matter.
the landing
Yeah,
of the island, the second hour. I mean, it does a really good job of being, hey, like, pay attention. Sad should just happen. You should be sad and or angry. One of
yes,
the two. Both, hopefully, preferably.
yeah,
Right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of these RPGs, even though by the end it's usually kill God or a godlike being, right? And a lot of them start off like, oh, you're just an ordinary average dude or dudette, and things happen along the way, and they just get commonly, gradually escalated. But from this get go, you have a deadline, you have a reason, you have justification,
There's
you want
stakes
revenge,
here.
right? Or Corey, you can understand like this to me it was very Xenoblade Chronicles 1, where it's like,
Mhm.
oh shit, like, and now you like this is personal for you. You want vengeance. You want to kill everything. You want
And you haven't, and like you said, you have no time. Like
yeah,
you have a literal countdown to the end of existence as you
existence,
know it. And everybody before you has failed. It's like, what is it? What are your chances? Like, who knows? So
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And then
Dreaded.
yes, then we get to the island, and everything could go wrong, goes wrong.
so that's the thing for me is like you had the tragic intro, you have it, like you have the
did
intro, right?
did you
And
guys get the insight about why they broke up though from
Mm-hmm.
the conversations
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. Which was even sadder, right? Because like
Because that seems like again, it's like
a good
so
reason
basically you talk to them, they disagreed about if it was good to
to
have
have children.
bring children into into
Yeah.
this world, and Gustav was for and she was against, which sort of is in line with how Gustav is most of the time
Right.
going forward.
And I mean, you could draw
yeah,
parallels to that, right? I've had conversations with partners about like just modern society, right? Whether it's political, geological, climate,
yep,
like there's a lot of factors. Like, oh shit, just for as many reasons you could say there's just as many reasons you could say not. But this is taken to an obvious, like, this is reality kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, you know.
I mean, yeah, it was
Yeah.
about to get very messy for that society where
Yes,
everyone is
yes.
going to be like 30 or younger soon and
Yeah, exactly.
dying. Like for like Mayel, the other character we meet here, his protege, I guess guard. What is it?
Sister.
Guard
Daughter,
assistant.
sister.
He's
But
like
not in a weird
guardian of
anime
her,
way.
but yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
she's 17 or 16 at this
Yeah,
point. I'm not really
16.
sure. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you have time. You have 8 years." It's like, oh, so doing the math, like children will die in their 20s here. So
Yeah.
that's that's the situation they're in. So it's beyond even what most of us would have to deal with in real life situations
Right.
where
Yeah, absolutely.
but still it's
Um,
it's a mess.
But the island,
obviously,
yeah,
for them.
and then then the second tragedy that hits when you
the island
get
hits
to
where,
the island.
again, in my head, I'm like, okay, typically, like, you have these multiple ships, right? And you're going to land on this island. And I'm thinking, like, okay, again, just going back to typical, like, RPG tropes or stereotypes, whatever you want to call them. It's like, okay, something's going to happen. We're probably going to get separated from the main party, the main, expedition, stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking. And then all of a sudden, it's fucking a murder fest. Like, just absolute
slaughter. Yeah,
And
slaughter.
especially the fact that you have your friends that you had a little celebration
had-
with
yeah.
beforehand, that you get to meet these
Yes.
characters for a couple
And
minutes.
think that they're going to be legitimate party members, right? You're like, oh, shit,
those are
Right,
the ones that
yeah.
you're going to be partying up with later on. And then you're like, oh, and this guy saves me. And then, hey,
It was all
okay.
yeah. I didn't clock, other than Mayel, I didn't clock any of the other like party members as they will be more important later than the other people.
Yeah.
Because they're all kind of mixed together, other than Mayel. So everyone getting picked off early on, it's like, oh, I guess we don't need to care about that guy anymore, or that
or
guy.
ever.
Yeah. And for this, like, I just got to shout out, this is very anime-esque too. I mean, I could cite two different very influential animes where Attack on Titan is one of them, where it's just like, oh, you think it's about this, and it's like, no, you have no idea, and it just takes off and gets you hooked, where it's just like, oh shit.
And they give you enough time understanding the rules of this world there, seeing in like an older guy who, by the way, Pierce Brosnan, if they do a live action version.
That's a good casting,
but
for sure.
Yeah. Renoir. Yeah.
But like
Absolutely.
Renoir, who we don't know his name at this point, he shows up and kills everyone instantly.
Yeah, without a word, right?
Just almost.
Just starts.
Yeah, doesn't say anything. Doesn't really. And but like one of the last words, I don't even know the name of the guy, is like, "What? You're old." And he's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna."
How are you so
old? There goes
old?
your head, bitch.
Exactly. And he just gets. He was the leader of the expedition too. I think it was.
Yeah.
The leader, which you thought would be like, oh, typically that's a mentor type. You'll get him in the party later, right? Or like whatever. Be the one giving you the tutorial and stuff like that. It's like, nope, that wasn't it at all. Stuff.
Yeah.
But then the other thing too is like, so he starts killing people, but then all of a sudden these weird, abstract, again, anime-esque, like enemies start appearing, and just
these things.
Killing, eating, devouring people. It's like, it's straight out of horror. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
This game, that's what I want to say. Like, this game at that point did an amazing job of just getting the whole aspect of fish out of water. Like, you are out of your element here. You are in deep shit. Like, you don't know what's happening. You don't know who's safe, who's not. When I started playing this game there, I was just like, I'm actually scared where I'm going here. Like, I'm gonna get killed. Like, this is nuts. And
this was the first of many twists.
Yeah, and it was the first one. But I'm like, as I'm playing in the beginning, I was going so slow through the area because I was like, I'm gonna have a fight here. I'm like, I gotta be ready for it. Yeah. I don't know, but it's crazy. And so it had a great aspect of that.
And then even after that, right? So the part that really stuck out to me, and it's still really early, so we can fast forward after this, but like when Gustav is alone, right, and he's just seeing the corpses of all his friends that he's grown up with, right, and knew on this expedition, but has been trading with all his life. He's just seeing all these bodies, and then he sees the tree. Like, I think it was a tree, or maybe it was just a pile around a tree, or something like that, of like all these dead Expedition 33 people, and he just looks so defeated. Like, and it seemed to me, just by what we knew, he was the optimistic guy. Like the glass is half full, right? And like you just saw him like just look so defeated. He slumps down on the ground, summons his pistol, and this is obviously very graphic and potentially a trigger for some people, but like points it at himself, and it's like, oh fuck, like this dude has given up, like he's lost his will to live. But then, obviously we get the next party member, which is Lune, saying, sitting next to him and saying, if you do that, we're both dead, right? So that was a very powerful, like, okay. Again, this is like,
like
roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, for the rest
and
of
at
the
this
game,
point, we have
that's why
no idea what happened, like how he even got there or why, and why anyone's alive, because it looked like he should have been dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Too.
Yeah, but that's why, like, seriously, like Lune for me was my favorite character, and it's because of that opening sequence for me. I was just like that character always is in my party.
You sure it's
just
not
because
the
I
bare
like it a lot.
feet, Jim? You sure it's not the bare feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, she had bare feet.
You know what's funny is I always
I
use
did like that she
her
floated.
as my character for movement because she didn't
She
make any
floated.
noise.
Yes, thank you. I've said that.
Yeah.
Like, it's for some reason. It's just.
It's like I don't need to hear you running. It's like
Yeah.
I need to float and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she floated. Yeah,
She
I
floated.
I absolutely did. Yeah, so going forward in the game now, we have the world unfolding for us, and we get to see what was the name of the enemies again? They were
Nevrons?
The Nevron?
Nevrons. Yeah,
Nevrons.
Thank you. So the Nevrons appearing to fight.
So they're there. And we wonder why they're there and what they're doing,
and then you encounter the white one, which makes you think like,
No,
are
the white
they
one.
all
Yeah,
not
it's like
bad,
some of them
right?
are good,
Yeah,
maybe.
just
but
give them
what
some
are-
light and like
They also seem kind of broken, those white ones.
Yeah.
And there's reasons for all of this. We'll find out later.
Yeah. So
So
what was the next part? You have to keep up refreshing me here.
So
Tony,
then we find Mael.
The mail. That's right.
yeah, you have to go into the underwater place, right? At that point, you start in like the foresty place, then you go underwater, and then you get your first sort of portal doorway into the manor, which is where Mael is hidden, and she seems kind of okay.
Yeah, she's
which was strange. And she made a friend. This
who has no face. Yeah.
The curator. Yeah, the curator.
The curator who wants her to train.
And it's even weirder because he has no face. He's like half a body, and it's just like, what is happening?
He's floating. He makes scary sound.
Oh, you do get a preview of like flames in the room that she's in. Don't you see that right there? Right when they introduce her, don't we get that?
Do we?
We get that.
I don't remember.
I'm fairly certain you walk in that room.
I've
and there
seen
were flames in the room.
some other people's footage of this game after I beat it, but I don't remember everything that happened early.
Yeah. So we get some flames in the room. We get the mansion, which is interesting, and I went all through that place when I first got in there, thinking like, "What's this?" And I had no idea what was going on. Well, yeah, I'm thinking of that, or I'm like, okay. Then I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is like a home base for the game later on. Like, I don't know, and it's no idea.
Yeah, no, it's part of the mystery. It's like, what is this doing here? Like, I'm getting teleported into this other like zone, or what's happening? So, good mysteries
really
keep you thinking on your toes, and all the doors are locked. It's like, oh, eventually they'll open, I guess. But then, like later on, you have access to different rooms through the game.
I mean, it's basically really a unlockable, like, lore and item base that you keep ending up at. But
and it hints at what's happening. It's like
it does. If you've played it already,
especially later on, you know what it is. But
so you get my
so we get that,
and then we go to the Gestral City. We get introduced to the Gestrals, which are another life form on this fictional world.
Little paintbrush head people who are very silly and kind of
silly,
dumb.
Very simple.
Actually, this was important because this was a big tonal shift. Like, this is the first funny thing
comedic
that really starts happening, and the whole area is pretty funny. Like, these Gestrals are all ridiculous. So
it got me to lighten up a little bit for the game
at this point.
Yeah, it got me lighten up. Yeah, definitely. Let me enjoy the world a little more, because I was like sitting here, I'm like, what's going to kill me next? And like, you had an area that was actually like entertaining. I mean, different entertainment. So,
although ironically, for me, the first enemies that I really had trouble with were the harder Gestral enemies with there's cannon things and all that stuff. That was the first.
Timing was off. Like they had different timing, and I think that
their
the first ones I had to like try more than
when
once.
They blew up their suits. That timing was tough for me to get. When they would
self-detonate, when they killed themselves,
when they fall on you, that was a hard time for me to figure out. But and so we had that whole part, and I did try to fight the chief in the beginning, and I was like, that was
she just wrecks you.
I tried to go back and do it. She still wrecked me.
It was still a challenge. She was one of the few challenges still when I did most of the post game stuff. Going back there, I'm like, still really?
Yes.
But I got her eventually. But I got all but one optional boss.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you get that
Yeah.
have that one like fight that you like, pick one of your guys, and it's like, who are you gonna pick? I
That's
mean,
where I made a
I
mistake.
picked Mario.
Yeah.
Why
did
is it
not
a
pick
mistake?
should be.
It's not a mistake.
It
Well, because
can
I
be
did
though,
not pick Mael, and
because
there's
you get
I
a
didn't find
very
out
specific weapon when you do beat her. So
the only
and
way to get that
that's
weapon
her
is to
best
beat
weapon.
the only way to get that is the chief, to beat the chief later on, which is
I
very
just
hard
mean
to
like
do.
it's a great weapon, but you can still do
Oh, I did
well
find it.
without
I
it.
still beat the
Fine,
game.
I
but
just did it because
unless
Mael
you
is my
wanna beat
damage
Simon.
dealer. Like as soon as it
Yeah.
was like, wait, virtuoso stance, deal double damage. I was like, fucking sign me the fuck up, bro.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Like this teenager
Yeah.
Yeah.
is like, just gonna destroy everything.
Dude,
she
was
becomes everyone's
amazing.
like glass
Yeah.
cannon
Anytime
at
there was a
worst, or
point
just
where that you
damage
needed
dealer.
one person,
Yeah, it's like
like just
like,
throw her
Mael,
at
get in
them.
there. It's like
Get, you're out
it's like if that were me in
every
real
time.
life, it's like me just going up, we're like, yeah, we'll do a 1v1 and just go at him. Can you fight him, please? Like,
Yeah, get in there now.
like get in
Let's
there.
get the
like,
smallest
you know,
little
just hide
girl
behind her
here.
and be
Yeah.
yeah, kick his
So-
ass.
And
Did anybody-
thematically, it actually
so
works.
knowing where
in
we're
that
heading,
respect.
Did any of you guys, while the characters, now you're building a party and you get
Mhm.
CL here in the pit, in the combat pit.
Mhm.
Did anybody else feel weird that you weren't getting abilities with Gustav?
I
Like,
I didn't think about it too much
well,
just
his
because
weapon
I
weapon.
wasn't using him after
What do
that.
you mean?
Okay, I wasn't getting anything for like the weapons, like the weapon abilities and stuff like that people were getting.
Yeah, but I thought it was gonna be
Mael
linked
has
to
something-
his arm.
Mhm.
Because his old
Yeah, I
charge
thought so
thing.
too.
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, maybe
didn't know
we're
everybody
just
was-
gonna start upgrading his arm, because at the beginning in the story, like they're talking about his arm and having the what was the guffin?
Lumina converter.
Lumina converter, right?
Lumina converter, right?
At that point, you don't really
The way-
understand.
yes.
Yeah, you don't understand what the Lumina
Now
converter
you can
is.
RPG.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is Lumina converter? I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna be his weapon. Like the sword was just his, like, until we unlock this portion of the game, because that does happen in a lot of JRPGs where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay, that
Yep.
was a red herring for this. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna pay attention to it. Whatever. Like everybody else's characters have weapons with abilities. I didn't think anything of it. But then you get CL, which fantastic intro for a character.
I liked her. I used her a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Ragnarok. Oh,
Yeah,
She's
she
my
had-
main party.
She had a good personality, and that's what I really enjoyed about the human characters, right? Because they all had really
Mhm.
different personalities, very strong, distinct ones too. Whereas, like, you had Lune, which is like the nerdy, like bookworm, Hermione type, whatever, right? You had
I did-
Miao was the
yeah.
teenager, Gustav is the older brother figure, and then you have CL, which is like the free spirited, happy go lucky, type. But yeah, go on, Mike.
I appreciate that none of them were just archetypes either, because you start with Lune, like obviously she's like by the books, very serious and kind of like analytical. But then when she gets to the Gestural village, she fangirls out. She's like, Gestural, this is great. Let's go see
Yeah.
everything. Which I mean is a little surprising to everything else. And then CL, she seemed happy and like
Just
probably
fighting,
like
yeah.
the most well-adjusted, but then like you hear her backstory and and then you're like, Jesus Christ, well, you're kind of sad too, aren't you? Then there's reasons for
Yeah,
everything.
Everybody's
So
sad.
everyone, I mean, like everyone is sad, but
Yeah.
her backstory, like non-Gomad deaths in her backstory, so that's different for
Yeah.
most of them.
Um,
So
no,
it's good that they're not just archetypes. It's interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering
I-
some
It was
other
and I will
refreshing.
say,
what we're thinking about later on.
I will say that it was interesting how they mixed in like spoiler backstories that didn't make any sense to you at the beginning of the game. Like you're getting these
Oh.
flashbacks with Mael now.
Totally everything.
With the girl that strangely looked a lot like her. Anyways, I knew that.
Well, that was dumb. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah,
Because they
Alicia.
acted like we weren't supposed to
Yeah, Alicia.
immediately clock that, like, oh, they're the same.
No, you
Like,
you definitely
she
are,
looks
but
exactly
again,
like
I think
her.
it was supposed to be red herring for this is like a time,
I'm
thinking
thing,
time.
or
Yeah, I'm thinking time.
multiversal thing, right? Which sort of is
Yep.
the case, but like
Oh,
for Corey again,
I know,
Corey,
they
like
just kept calling her
we
a
know,
woman.
right?
I'm like,
Like it's
yeah,
Xenoblade. We're like,
right.
oh, I've seen this trope before. It's like, okay, you guys did a little something different. I respect it.
Mhm.
I respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you see her, like it's like, how can you not
Yeah,
put the
it's like
parallels? Especially if you don't change the hair, if you don't change the outfits and
the
stuff.
height is the
like,
same. Yeah, it's just like okay.
Yeah, it's
what-
like,
what-
oh, this is her, and like, yeah. But then it's like, can I like, are they? maybe they're not gonna. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe they're not
maybe
gonna do
they're
it, yeah.
not. Maybe
Right?
they're
'Cause
not
it's too
gonna do
obvious,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But also,
That's the
so
thing for me
we
is
get
like,
this
what's
point
the
where Male has all these visions of the other version of her, and
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like
but
memories, air
Memory
quotes.
headaches. Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, this screwed up the next big twist for me because it happens so frequently when we get to are we ready to get to the next big twist yet?
well, they enlist SKA, who's the big floating dude.
That's right,
Like,
SKA,
I love
who's Hale's
SKA.
dad swimmer.
SK is the only
I thought
person.
SKA was great.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
you're
can
like, why
fly.
is this big giant guy so silly and like but powerful?
Even the turtle
too?
was silly though too. Even the turtle was
Yeah.
crazy.
The turtle was, yeah.
Francois.
Is that supposed to be me?
And this was actually in the SKA's caves was the first place I encountered any mime because I missed the early one. There was one down there, and I'm like, oh, I can't beat this at all.
Yeah, I was like, this is a tough fight.
But
yeah.
Later on, that break is the key for the mimes, where it's not so useful for almost anyone else. But
it is. So then we get the next twist in the game with the White Hitman showing up again, Renoir, as they're setting off, and we get Gustav. Unfortunately, not going to be traveling with the party anymore.
I have to say these Act 1, the act bosses were really fun. Not just Act 1, but
whatever. The lantern.
Yeah, like the lanterns.
That was a cool boss fight.
Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic fight and felt good, and felt really like exactly. I was like, I feel like I won this.
Yeah,
like,
I earned this.
Earned it. I felt like I earned this.
Because
like,
I think it's the first two-phase boss too. Because like you beat him and then it transforms. Like, oh fuck, we're getting one of these already.
I was waiting for that too. I was like, where are these like the tropes of like a JRPG of like we gotta have multi-phase bosses and stuff.
When it did, I smiled. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this in this game.
Finally,
okay.
yeah.
And like, so they didn't overdo it though.
Yeah.
No, definitely. You don't want like
another. This isn't even my final form.
Yep. But you feel good, and then he's like, all right, I want to just sit back and relax with the two of them. It's like enjoy. I'm throwing rocks.
As soon as like they were just moseying and taking their time, I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. I was like,
but I was thrown off. I literally thought it was just a dream sequence because she did have a flash forward to like everyone's dying at one point.
As soon as the cane starts banging, you're like,
oh, that cane started, I was like,
no, what's happening?
I thought somebody was dying there. Yeah.
So for a while, I'm like, is that real? Did that actually happen?
Or are we a premonition? But
yeah. So I was a little confused, honestly, when it happened. But
I knew something.
It was weird when that.
It's like, man, I'm sorry. Just move on. Don't be like, want to skip a rock? It's like, no, get on SKA. Get the fuck out of there. Like, this is life or death. You are on a fucked up island that everything wants to kill and or eat you or something else. It's like, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm yelling at my fucking monitor. I'm like, go. Get out of here. You can throw rocks later. Go. Yeah. Oh, I was yelling. I was very heated.
Yeah.
So it was a surprising death for me because I really thought that he was going to turn out to be Renoir because I was going in the time elements at this point myself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I will say at the same time, I thought it was just going to be like, oh, he's mortally, like, he's wounded, but like, oh, there's a magical thingamabobber, like a phoenix down or an elixir that's like, oh, it's going to save him. And that's where we're going to unlock his arm or something like that, right? So for me to be like...
that's what I thought was happening.
Right? For me to be like, except, oh, yeah, the person you thought the main character was going to be...
Yeah.
Fuck you. Fuck your emotions. Fuck your feelings. He's dead.
Yeah.
When he was like
moved for a new company,
whatever.
Too. Like, think about this. Like a brand new
shot
company
or whatever. It's like, oh, maybe...
Game. Kill the new character. Kill the main character. Yeah. That's the thing for me.
Yeah, Charlie Cox too, who was actually like comforting because I've just watched like Born Again a lot right before coming into this. It's like, oh, more Charlie Cox. That's cool. And yeah, it was a little suspicious that he was never with any of the other actors on the press tours. I mean, obviously he's not a voice actor too much, but still. But here, and then like when he was shot, I'm like, maybe he'd survive. But then with the obvious, and I'm not even a fan, I don't play these games, but the obvious Final Fantasy sort of homage where you get the like, sword going through like silhouette type deal. Yeah. It's like, oh.
Yeah, the iconic Sephiroth stab. Yep.
For sure.
The Sephiroth, yep.
So
we get...
And then someone else shows up.
Yeah, Verso showing up out of nowhere. I don't know who this was.
White Dude
no idea who this was.
2.0 shows up. White boy.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was disappointed a little bit about this guy. I was like, get out of
never
here,
used him.
man. Get the
I never
fuck
used him.
out.
Yeah, like I never used him because
a
I was
lot
just like,
because I felt like that was kind of like the story at this point.
Well, I just
never
feel like
trust- I never
I'm a
trusted him.
boy.
He's a good
They just
Oh,
RIP my
I
boy,
didn't either.
and I'm like, they're gonna replace him with this like loser, but
Store
like, what
brand
the heck,
version.
man?
the version of Gustav.
Yeah, just like broke ass version, and it's like, and then now he's gonna be the main character of the net. No, I'm like, get out. I don't need this.
Yeah, I wasn't happy. Like, so the thing is, this is sort of a, I guess, game trope, but also anime trope again, where it's like literally there's a Gundam series where it's like in the first half of the series they have the finale, kind of I guess act one, where it's like one of the main Gundam characters dies and he goes out in a blaze of glory, right, just like Gustav, and then literally the next episode, which is like has a little time skip or whatever, it's like, hey, we need a sniper for the team. Oh. Well, he had a twin brother. Let's recruit his twin brother, who looks exactly the same, obviously, because it's got to be identical twins. It's like, and he shows up. He's like, "Hey, this might be difficult for you, but you can just call me Lock On." And it's like, what the fuck? Like, so you look the same, you sound the same, and you want the same code name? Get the fuck out of here! So when this happened, I was like so pissed. I was like, you even have the same fucking move where like, you buff the party. Get the fuck out of here! I was so mad. I was like, why did you even do this then? Like, why did you introduce White Boy 2.0, store brand Gustav? I didn't fucking want him.
So what was interesting to me, like obviously the fact that he was older and I think his sort of powerfulness or invincibility was established pretty early on. That made him interesting, but also like you knew that he knew Renoir and he wasn't telling you anything.
Yeah, there's a link.
And it was very like you're screaming at the screen, playing as him the whole time. It's like, what do you know, Verso? But
that's why I never played him.
But
Like,
that made it interesting in a way too. It's just strange to be put from the perspective of this character who you know is not telling you or everyone else anything, and it was like, this feels so weird.
Yeah.
And then you had to like get to know everyone and increase their relationship, but still you're playing as someone who knows something else and is not being truthful,
right?
But you still can't do anything.
And this is one of the biggest offenses to me of the game. And just to state the record, I love this game. I absolutely adore this game. It's probably going to be my game of the year. It's hard for me to imagine another game
right now. Yeah, what else?
Passes. But I think that was the biggest sin of this game for me personally, just because for me, the natural standpoint would have been to now play as Mael, right? Because even in the scenes like which like writing Gustav's diary, which you were doing up until this point, but then it shifts to Mael doing it. So to me, it's like Mael, it should have been from her point of view, where it's like, okay, Mael has to deal with the grief of losing, her brother, father figure, right? And dealing with the trauma and the hurt and the emotions, because obviously, like, Lune and Ciel are sad, right? But, like, Mael is the closest to him, so obviously she's going to be the most hurt and the most affected and most messed up. But instead, it's like, oh, you're playing from the POV of the next white dude. And it's like, but well, I like the first one.
Again, I just think it's interesting in that situation where it's the sort of internal conflict of you have to play from the point of view of someone who you don't know anything about.
And that got me too.
Like everyone else you already know a little bit about, although he also has previous history with two of the newer characters as well. So, but no, I thought that was interesting. I get how there's a little friction there, but I see what they were going for.
I did like how not too shortly after, because obviously they escape, and I think you're walking, like it's a cutscene, you're walking, and Verso says or alludes to something, and I think Lune calls him out on his bullshit, like, okay, what is going on? Because you obviously
she does say, you tell us what you know.
Tell us what you know, because you're old, like you like his, he had a bit of white in his hair and stuff like that, which
it's gray
established at the island landing. Like, we're not used to seeing that anymore. So like, what the fuck, dude? Fess up, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because like a lot of the times in RPGs or games in general, it's like, I'm just gonna go with this, right? Like, I don't have a good reason to not, because it's the narrative, but we're just gonna go ahead with it.
What's funny is like when he delivered the Paintress,
they did, but like
when he delivered the line about like the Paintress giving them immortality, I was like, that's not sitting right with me. Like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't seem like it fit with what the story was. And I'm like, I guess we're gonna go with it. I'm like, it's fine, but I didn't trust it there either. Clearly, he's a character that doesn't quite know exactly what's going on.
You don't know that right away.
That she did it. He just said that one day he stopped aging.
He has come to believe that immortality was no his Renoir came to believe that immortality was granted by the Paintress. He said, "Well, however it happened, he doesn't care. He's tired of being immortal." Essentially, is what he said. Joining your team, but he's told them who Renoir was and how he is trying to protect the Paintress because she is giving them immortality. So, but
Okay.
yeah, so we had to go recruit his friend. Is it Monoko? Monoko.
He's not
Another character I never used him. I didn't like the aspect of him, but having to defeat a character to get abilities.
I used everyone.
You played the most out of all of us, I would say.
Yeah, and you really have to like be decent with your backup team once you're starting to do the crazier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Minoko's fine and all. It's just a mistake they made in the gameplay element for me was, oh, this is the blue mage of the group. Blue mage, for those of you who don't play Final Fantasy, it's, hey, you learn enemy attacks by, usually it's getting hit by them and surviving. In this game, they change it to, oh, you have to defeat the enemy, but not only that, you have to have Minoko active in the party at that point. And in a game where you can't, like, freely swap in and out, like, I was just like, nah, I'm good with my team. I'm not going to use this dude unless I absolutely need to. It's
exactly.
Like, what moves does he come with? That's the moves he's going to have for the rest of the game. That's it. I was like, fuck it. Like,
he's my B team. If all else fails,
he was my B team for a while, but by the end, I actually had all of his abilities unlocked just because I played the game so much.
So your expedition has to go after the Paintress's heart, is what you're trying to go after in this part of the game.
Things get weird now because of Verso's lies, and does he change his mind? Like, what his real goal? It's kind of unclear, honestly, even at the end, if what he ends up doing is a late decision or not, because he looks conflicted.
Yeah.
Like right before he does what he does.
And that's the thing, like you were talking about, Mike, where it's like, yeah, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't too. Where it's like, me, I'd have been like, I'm not stepping another foot with this fucking dude until he gives me a convincing ass explanation for all the questions I have to ask, because I had a million of them, and they were fine with like him answering a couple, and I was like, I don't trust this dude. Like, you came out of nowhere at the last minute, like not even the last minute, a minute late, and you just happened to save us. Like, what are you, fucking Tuxedo Mask? But worse? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
So
what a throwback reference. Okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so we had that. The
but now we're going after the Axons.
Yeah, and then we go after the Axons. So we have the mansion done.
Oh yeah, no,
the
mansion.
Oh, we do learn.
Interesting.
Yeah, we learn that Renoir is his
Verso's
father, and that the girl in Mael's dream is Alicia, his sister. So we learn that aspect of things.
And what's his name?
And
you've had that fight with Renoir at the manor outside, and then he gets tired and he does something that kills not Minoko, but what's the other dude, the smaller one?
The Kestrel.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, what's his name?
Minoko's
like his friend.
Was it just Noko or
son?
Noko?
Minoko's I don't remember his name. Something else. He's Minoko's. He used to be Minoko's mentor, and now he's kind of like his son because the way they get reincarnated.
Reincarnated.
Yeah.
So you feel sad. It's like, it's like something else died, and we're like, it's like you look at Verso, it's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? You're not telling us shit. And like, this is where I'm like, fuck this dude. I wish I could get this dude killed because I don't fucking trust him anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm doing fine. I have my L. I don't need him. I don't fucking need Verso. He's my buffer. Like, I got Minoko. I'm good. Fuck this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had that, and then we had to go after the Axons after Lune suggested after this, I was like, wow, there's bigger things than the Neverons. So the Axons have the ability to kill the Paintress.
Since recruited the curator to upgrade their shit. Yes. And they're like, the curator will need whatever the chrome or whatever. The chrome is
because the Axons have the biggest amount of
magic
chrome.
Power, I guess.
MacGuffin,
is what chrome is. You need to get all the accent stuff for him to
create a sword
sword that will pierce the
shield, the barrier,
the monolith where the Paintress is. They're like, oh, okay, so the Axons, who are different giant things,
Titans,
and there's a reason why they're different too. I don't know if should we just explain all these things as we go through rather than go back, like kind of how, because I'm getting a little hung up on that.
Yeah, we can do whatever. Yeah, so I mean the Axons. So the whole reveal, I guess, is that it's about
We're almost there anyway.
yeah, it's about grief
Yeah.
from a real life family of painters that can paint these worlds that they can inhabit and visit and go freely to and forth. Like imagine if you could just jump into a picture book and hey, you can live in that world. But also you have the ability to paint characters and create them, and they're living and they have their own sentience and whatnot. So you find out
Depending on who you ask.
right. Well, yeah, depending on who you ask. But the whole conflict of the game resolves around a tragedy where the eldest son of the family, who is named Verso, dies protecting his little sister Alicia, who we have reference to by now in Act 2. And the mother, Aline, in her grief, went into one of his paintings and buried herself pretty much inside that painting to the point where her husband, Renard, who's represented inside the painting by old Renard, jumps into the painting to save her, but she fights him back on that and turns him into the curator, strips him of some of his power, but he fights back with the aid of the eldest sister, Clea?
Clea, yeah.
Who's
created
who I
all
didn't think
the
had a big role in
Necrons.
this, but he was still trying to do the right thing of getting his wife out of the painting, which I get as
So you
the aspect
say.
of things, and that's why the number would go down.
Right,
Literally,
because
he's winning.
Right,
He's
'cause
winning.
she was-
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
a war
so
of
when you get
attrition.
to the end of Act 2, when you beat all the Exons and you finally face the Paintress, there's some dialogue where first she's like, "Oh, are you back?" When she says to Verso, it's like, "Oh no, he created you," which is interesting because I'm not sure if that's even true. But it's unclear who created like the normal people.
No. Lynn
Like,
created the Lumierans.
did she, or was it? But did she do it before or after Real Verso died?
That was a piece of real Verso in the
Because
painting. She didn't create that Verso. He was already in the painting. That's the point of it. That's what I got from this.
No, dude. She painted
So-
Verso.
Oh, that's what I got from this.
No.
Oh,
So
I thought
it's hard to
that was
say
his part.
because
that's
she
in him.
said that he painted Real.
Yeah, because he painted that
Our
painting. That's his
Verso.
painting, and that's
He
why
painted the
he's-
painting, but I thought she painted him
Yes, the only
and
people
gave
that
him the soul.
the,
And,
the
like,
only people that lived
essentially.
inside the painting were the Gestrels, because the Gestrels were
Okay.
what Child Verso had painted
I remember
in the
that
world,
part. Yes.
and Clea
all of the
and him would
animals
go
and stuff.
visit. Clea invented the Nevrons initially, but then later when real God, it's so convoluted, you gotta really like use terminology. So when real Renard so after real Verso dies, Aline enters the painting, buries herself in there, and she wants to create the perfect family to live out her, whatever family life. So she creates everybody. She creates painted Renard, painted Verso, painted Clea, painted Alicia, and the Lumierans, because I don't know, I guess they got to have somewhere to go on the weekends or something like that.
Now,
It wasn't,
do we know that for sure though, or were they already there?
no,
Because
100%. We know that.
why?
Why? What part?
Why do we think they weren't already there? Why couldn't they have drawn like their version
That's what
of Paris, like with
mean,
younger Verso growing up, or as when Renoir had obviously drawn a lot too earlier? We think that painting of their family portrait was his too, as well, and we know that she's made changes to them. I think that's like Alicia, like that would have had to have had just happened. I know there's a time dilation thing going on, but I don't think it's quite that severe where the entire history of Luminaire was
so
from
that's
a few weeks old.
So that's the timeline. So Real Verso dies in the fire. Alicia gets
He's right.
Scarred and
Looking this up right now.
disfigured. Aline, in her grief, and she doesn't want to believe it, goes into the painting. The only painting that Verso has to
Right. I
relieve
think it's
herself.
his only.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she
it's only
paints her family as the painted versions that we all meet, except for Clea, because real Clea kills her. So she paints those beings. And then afterwards, Renard invades because he's like, "Yo, you've been in here too long, and you're killing yourself." So real Renard goes into the painting. She fights back. She overpowers him and traps him at the base of the monolith. With real Renard using Expedition Zero. With Simon. So Clea comes in at some point, paints the Nevrons.
No. Now I'm confused again because I thought it was the painted Renard was in Expedition Zero with Verso.
Yes, Painted Renar.
That's his real
Right.
father.
Painted Renar was in Expedition Zero, but I'm saying real Renar tried to fight her first. She overpowered him because he's not as skilled of a painter as Aline is. But what happened was Clea came in, real Clea came in to tip the scales to help real Renar. She created the Nevrons to, when they kill a Lumieran, the chroma is not returned to Aline to give her more power. The chroma gets consumed by the Nevrons, so she is slowly whittling away power. So now, Painted Renar learns this when him and Expedition Zero go to the monolith and goes, oh, so I'm immortal because you painted me to be your husband, right? Your idealized version of your husband. So I'm supposed to be protecting you in the monolith. So I will fucking kill everybody here, along with Painted Verso, to keep your secret.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So
and that the whole thing though was I thought was very interesting as far as it was a good like not necessarily twist, but just like, oh, this is actually because like, what the heck is this paintress thing? What does that have to do with anything? Like, why is it called a paintress? And I like that we get an answer that is pretty satisfying to me, and it makes me curious about this other world now. Like,
let's go
I want to
back
explore
to the 2 to 3 like act change. So
the,
you go and you beat the paintress.
Which is crazy. Like, oh, this is Act 2. I guess this is the end of the game. Like, oh, we're gonna beat the big bad.
Yeah. Who else? No, like you get a weird feeling once she's her like 3rd stage, which isn't really anything, where she starts just buffing or healing you. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, like I'm not doing the right thing right
here. So real quick, quick, just to recap. So Clea makes the Nevrons. Aline made the Lumierans. Verso made the Gestrels. And Renar made the Axons. And the Axons represent each of the family members, but they're all weird.
That's what I was going to say earlier. That got me here. The Axons were made by Renar.
So the Axons are representative of the family in his version. So the version of Clea, the Axon, gets destroyed.
Of course.
Right, is destroyed before the game even starts. Clea got pissed off and had it destroyed.
Makes sense.
I think that's the one in Old Lumiere, right?
Yeah, Old Lumiere. That's the city's on top of the corpse or something like that. I forget the exact details. But the 2 Axons we do wind up fighting is the what is
the Reacher.
The Reacher.
The Reacher is the one that was for Alicia, where if you do the optional sort of like companion quest with Mael, you would find Alicia there at the top. The metaphor was he wanted her to be ambitious, I guess, reach for the sky.
Well, yeah. So but I mean that you can't fight because you don't have the flying power yet until Act 3. So the ones you can fight in Act 2 are the Visage one, who is representative of real Verso, because again it's his painted version of real Verso, who's even nicknamed He Who Guards Truth with Lies. And then you have to fight Celine, who is his wife, right? She's the dancer, stuff like that.
The dancer, yep.
So those are the 2 Axons we can fight in Act 2, and once you fight them, you get their chroma. Go back to the Curator. The Curator specifically points to Mael, gives her the sword to pierce the shield guarding the monolith. You go to the monolith, you fight the Paintress, and then you figure out, because again, like at one point there's a white Nevron, I believe it's a white Nevron, who painted a Gestrel. There was a denizen that made a painting or a statue of the Paintress. And it was like, oh, like she's sad for some reason, and like there's some other hints where it's like, oh, she didn't used to be like this or whatever, and you're like, what are they talking about, right? And you get that illusion, like, oh, maybe the Paintress isn't evil, right? Because we're just taking that as she is evil because that's the narrative that we have. Because
there's a lot of sadness going around for everybody,
right?
Depression everywhere.
So you fight and even the figure that you fight at the monolith, or not fight initially, but the figure that we thought was the Paintress isn't actually her. It's just the creation that she uses to paint on the monolith as a warning to the Lemurians, like, hey, another year is up. Sorry, like your time is ticking.
Can't hold them back anymore.
Yeah. And I love the fight at the end of Act 2 with the Paintress because it was a beautiful fight. And one thing we haven't mentioned, the music is phenomenal in this game. Like whether it's the overworld music or especially the fight music. And there's a lot of songs that actually have real interesting lyrics when you listen, when you get it translated, because obviously in French, and at least for me, I don't understand French, so I had to look this up. But a lot of these songs have themes and story to go along with it, which is cool. But when you beat the painter, even the last thing, like she gets into this form where all she's doing is healing the party, and it's like, what? Like, I was like, for a second, I was like, is the game glitching out on me? But then I was like, no, she keeps doing it. I was like, this is supposed to be storytelling through gameplay, right? And it's like, and then we get to the big reveal of Act 2.
Yeah.
You
So
get
we
the
get
letter.
the letter.
Well, we have that choice.
The choice at Act 2?
That's
No, the
in
choice is later.
Act
That's
Oh,
at
is that
Act
Act
3.
3? Oh, that's right.
Act 2 ends and you go back to the island and
Yep.
you start celebrating, and then
and
Oh,
everyone's
yeah.
happy. And
Everybody,
what's
everybody's
going to
happy.
go
He's sitting
wrong
Verso.
now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Verso opens the
Verso's
letter and starts
lies
reading
come
it.
to a head.
Yeah. And then everybody just
And
disappears.
I
Well, not
think,
lies, but
and I believe Verso knew this would happen.
Oh,
and
100%.
didn't
that
want-
bitch knew.
Oh yeah,
But-
that's what I'm
but
saying. That was the truth.
so
he didn't tell
my-
everybody.
The thing is, did he want? So okay, just go ahead. Actually, well, I'll talk about that again later.
Reading the letter,
Yeah,
everybody
I get there.
disappears, and then we're out in the
So just to specify, the letter was from Alicia to Mael.
To Mael.
Alicia even
Yeah.
tells Verso to give it to Mael. And then
Yeah.
everybody's celebrating, and Verso's on the docks, and he reads a letter. He opens it, reads it like a fucking bitch that he is, and just tosses it into the water. And I'm like, this fucking bitch. Like, goddamn.
I didn't like him at all.
Fuck this dude.
Yep. So we
and
then
everybody starts gamaging around.
go.
yeah, come on.
Yeah, everybody disappears, and we get
Yep.
flashback to the
Everyone.
reality.
Yep, not to even Mael.
Yeah, everybody disappears, and you find out. Then we find out everything you just mentioned, Tony, and we also find out that Clea is frustrated by the stalemate. Yeah, by the stalemate. Alicia's older sister.
Right. So real quick. So then we go to a flashback of the real world, because now Mael has the memories of Alicia, and we see a lot of the real thing. But the key here is that even though Clea had already entered the painting to help Renar out with the Nevrons, she goes, oh, well, maybe you can get through to both of them. Because it seemed, even though it was like Renar was slowly winning, it was taking way too long, and Clea wanted to focus on the war with the writers, which, is a loose end, obviously.
Yes. And it's unclear how long they're in there for. And it's also they imply, obviously, that if you're in there too long, you will die. And you get, like, lost in it. Now, I don't know if it's from starvation. I don't know, because they're just sitting there in a trance. I don't know what it's from.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of things.
It's unclear.
Yeah, it's unclear. You have to take a lot of things that just like, okay.
We don't know how long was a long time.
Right, but the key here is that Alicia, who, again, is horribly disfigured from the fire that killed her brother.
Can't even talk.
Goes into the painting, because Clea's like, maybe you could change their minds, your daddy's favorite or something, whatever like that. So Clea, or Alicia goes into the painting.
Alicia,
But her mom overpowers her, or does something with her entrance into the painting, where she becomes a fetus and gets reborn into the painted world.
Immaculately concepted.
Exactly, as who we now know as Mael lives 16 years of life as Mael, even though, and this is the fucked up part, where even people like Clea, real Clea knew. Real Clea told Verso to look out for Mael.
Clea's like, oh, this is going great.
Yeah, this is going great. Like,
see you later.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm busy. I'm busy with the fucking war. Yo, painted Verso. Watch after the reincarnation of my baby sister and your real life fake sister. I'm out. Peace. Whatever. I thought that was super fucked up. But so Mael has that, and all of a sudden now we understand the explanation of why Mael had those memory headaches, as I like to call them, and now she has the memories of real Alicia overlapped with her identity as Mael, and she becomes like, as we would say in the JRPG, like all her things are unlocked. She is literal like God mode now, where it's like she's unstoppable. She has painted power, and it's made wonderful because now you can break the in-game, again, storytelling, you can break the 99.99 limit, which existed. You were handicapped by at this point, where it's like, cool, I could do 90.99, but like I didn't need to buff myself 5 times to do this. I just need to do the one move.
Yeah. And now she's also about the same age as everyone else, because she has 2 16-year lives to be 32. But with her 2 lives, she seems to pretty heavily favor her painted life. to her real life. So
Yep.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, it's a better life there.
Um,
She can actually be a person and speak and
Talk
stuff
and
like
not
that.
be
That's what she was
disfigured,
saying.
and her family doesn't hate
Yeah.
her.
Right. So then as this happens, I don't even remember how this happened. She comes back and brings everyone back, like who
Well,
just died.
She brings back the party members. She brings back
The party only,
She
not Lumiere.
Yeah,
she
people
brings
she
back
needed right
Lune
now.
and CL. She doesn't bring back anybody
Mhm.
else. In
Not
the
even
regular form.
Gustav.
Well, so here's the thing. At this point, now I'm like, oh shit! Like, where she just like rescued from a gamage, Lune and CL. It's like, oh shit, okay. Like, you unlocked your painted power. Awesome, great. And then you get the cutscene where it's like, oh well, we're gonna need an. So the thing is now, real Winar, who is revealed to be the curator this whole time, who had his powers locked or whatever, he was locked away by.
It's his avatar.
It's his avatar,
but
whatever.
he got like he got painted over too by
Right.
by
But now, because you
Eileen.
defeated the paintress and kicked Aline out of the painting, now Runar had the ability to use up all the chroma and gamaged everybody, except for Mael, and was like, yeah, you need to come with me. And Mael's like, what the fuck do you mean I'm coming with you? Like, you just fucked up my whole world here, my whole life. And then she pulls, the escape, and then she pulls out Lune and CL. And then after that, it's like, oh, well, we're going to need an army to fight, my father. And then you start seeing that real quick CGI, like cutscene montage of them going around to older expeditions and reviving them. So to me, I'm like, oh shit, we can bring Gustav back, right? And I'm like trying to find the exact area where we buried Gustav, and I couldn't find it, so I'm looking it up. And then one of my friends just goes, yeah, you can't revive Gustav. I was like, what? I was like, why the fuck did we get this power then? Like, why?
So,
Good choice.
my
choice.
my fan idea was just that it wasn't Gomage death, so she couldn't do anything with it. But I think it really just was that he wasn't around at the time, and like she just grabbed what was near.
The devs didn't want to do it.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
so
So-
anyway,
Because also
we
he
get the
comes
step
back
along.
later.
Yeah.
maybe.
Spoiler,
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
the
he goes
epilogue
back
act-
later.
We get the epilogue act essentially, where it's basically you could go and fight whatever you want, but you can go to the ending too and get the ending done
Yeah.
at the
And here's
at Old Lumiere.
Yeah.
and here's again where the game, for me personally, and I'm only speaking from the eye, Act 3 is where the game fell a little bit for me, just because all of a sudden became about the Desandre
That was the
family and their
game for me.
drama, where
Yeah.
I was invested in the world, the denizens of the world, including the Nevrals and the Gestrels, right? And even the accents, like, what the fuck is up with these guys? And it's like all about family drama and grief and tragedy. And I get that, right? But like, to me, it felt like as soon as Act 2's ending happened and we get into Act 3, all that goes to the wayside. And including Lune and CL, they don't have like
Lune and
anything.
CL suffered the most. Obviously, they had their moments with each Axon where they had their big like, I did it because of my own like history. But yeah, like it's Mael and Verso, like, and they were in my party for most of Act 3 just because everything seemed more relevant to them than anyone else in the world, and that's why like Verso has a little bit of main character like syndrome because the world is kind of created for him, and in the world is also powered by real Verso's soul, so the closest one to like a real person that was created might be him in there. So, but you also see that everyone who is painted is very close to being one-to-one with their real version because both Renoirs want the same thing just from their perspective. They just want to protect their family and nothing else. They don't care about anyone else. They both, and that's why they're diametrically opposed. The Renoirs, painted and real, they're very similar that way. So it's interesting that way. But there's a lot of stuff to explore. The whole thing with Clea and her painted version being trapped by herself. That's a whole thing.
So that's the thing in Act 3 where
in Act 3.
All of this is optional.
You didn't like
right?
that part.
Like literally the whole thing is, and almost I think I recommend it to you guys is like as soon as you get to Act 3, just rush the ending because by the time if you do all this other stuff that's optional, which is weird because at the very least I think the Axon with Alicia should have been mandatory.
The loyalty missions.
Yeah, the loyalty missions. I think those should have been mandatory, but they're not. But by the time you get done with all of that stuff, even just one or two of those things, you're going to be so overpowered for Lumiere when you go back to fight Renard. Like, it's just like, I went almost right there. I did Alicia's thing because somebody's like,
Yeah, I went right there.
yeah, somebody's like, hey,
Yeah.
it's really important to start. Like, you could do it later, but like, I think it adds to the story. I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it because obviously we had that plot thread open with the letter, right, that she wrote to Mael.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I'll go do that, and I did that, and I was like, oh shit, okay, all right, cool. Now I'll go beat the game. And I like two-shot the blast boss. I'm like, oh, fuck me then. Like, dude, I tried to go
Yeah.
easy on you. What do you mean you're dead already? What do you mean?
I did like half, but
That
one
boss
thing
was
that
really easy.
happened was I did like a fair amount where it was pretty easy at the end, but I didn't mind it that much. But what's interesting is I did the Max Mael story, Max Mael relationship. I did the Axon thing with her, and then that's where you get the reveal that like Verso is like tell the truth or lie,
Lie.
and the truth is Verso's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of let. Verso was the one who, first of all, who saved everyone on the beach from Renoir. He's the one who teleported everyone. He could, basically, because he's been watching Mael since birth.
Right.
I don't.
But
Did we get confirmation that he
He
helped everyone?
let-
I know he helped Mael specifically because that was
Yep.
who,
Yeah,
how
that's
else
like
did
a-
anyone else teleport?
luck. I don't know.
No, it was him.
But why would he
said he
save
tried to save who he could.
Yeah. Seems right
Yeah.
to me.
All
I mean,
right.
He's still-
it's not an important
he's
thing. It's
still-
not an important thing.
He still wanted
Go ahead.
to.
Not important.
I'm convinced he still wanted to just save his not real mother by getting her out. He wanted to eject her. That was his main goal, and he wanted to have the biggest force to do that by forcing her to go Maj. After Mael rewrites everything, I feel like he was kind of on board with her for a while until he had second thoughts when he realized he was just basically realizing that Mael's gonna kill herself here too. But I'm getting ahead of myself again.
Yeah.
But so he admits that basically he let Gustav die because he didn't think
He knew that it
because
would,
he didn't want
wouldn't
Mael
be-
to be
yeah.
too
It's-
attached to him going forward.
it
what
would have
they needed to
interfered
do.
with Verso's plans and what he wanted. So he was like, it's actually more convenient for me to let this dude die. So, and that's where I said, nope, fuck this dude. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
what the
So he
fuck you
does-
say for me, Verso, anymore. You are dead to me. You fuck you. You might as well be the fucking
So-
villain of this game. Fuck you.
So he does a major emotional damage to her, but that's the good way that unlocks her power when he's truthful to her for that.
Well, I mean,
And
even
then
if
at the
you
end-
lie to her, she calls you out on it. Like, if you
Yeah.
choose the option to lie to her, she's
I'm
like,
sure that-
she calls you out immediately.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
And then,
no,
but
you're not.
then, with the Axon with her too, when she fights her painted self, she immediately gomages who's basically Verso's real sister in his world, like immediately before he even notices, and he's just like, well, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Good.
She's
Fuck
like,
him.
oh yeah,
Fuck
I guess.
Verso. He shouldn't get anything he wants.
But she's just like, oh yeah, I guess I should have let you say goodbye. Sorry, but that's what you wanted. So some of the last things they do before the ending is they just emotionally damage each other. So then we get to the ending.
So the choice, right?
That's the choice.
Yeah, the choice. What'd you guys pick? I mean, so you have two choices at
Oh,
the end of this game.
I was not. I didn't even
There's
think
no
about it.
choice.
Like there was no
one
choice.
There's a right choice
Mael's
or a wrong
my
choice.
girl the
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
time.
Mael number
There's
one.
no way. There's no way I'm switching off of Mael. She never went it. I never did a solo one-on-one battle where it wasn't her. I never did it.
No,
Gameplay
absolutely.
wise,
She
there was
was the
no
choice
reason not to do
easily.
her. Narratively, there was no reason
I
to
don't-
doubt her at this point ever.
No.
So I was like, Mael. Like, why the
Wow,
fuck
wow.
would I ever side with Verso? This piece of shit.
So
This fucking
So
Let
lying
him cry about it. I think it's,
psychopath.
my thought was let this guy cry. I don't care. That's why.
Wow, really?
So,
I'm,
trapped
Jim,
forever.
I'm surprised. I honestly thought you were gonna be a Verso dude. I thought you were gonna be a Verso.
We
No,
should
I
have got
picked my L. I had to
Ryan
watch
on
the
here
ending for Verso.
because
What's that?
Ryan is. We should have gotten Ryan on here and he might be watching now. He's convinced, Verso is right.
What?
And honestly, while I was going in there, I'm like, well, I know that I felt like the game was telling me Verso was right, but I still rather choose Mael's choice. So I did.
Yeah.
I chose Mael first, but I did go back and check his ending.
No,
out
I
too
didn't.
later.
Thing is, I felt for Verso as far as the people in there, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not real, whatever. But at the same time, fuck you, dude. What the hell?
Yeah.
I did not like him. I did not want to have him in my party necessarily. I only used him if I had to use him, like it was like
Yeah.
when you're walking around and doing stuff, you have to do it. And I felt like I had to do all the stuff to like build up the reputation or the friendships and stuff. Like I did not like that aspect of it because I felt like they forced you to use this character when it was really Mael's story. This is
It's
Mael's
Mael's story.
Yeah, it's
story.
Mael's story. Yeah.
Why am I playing
No,
this other
it's
guy?
both of theirs, really.
Listen, like,
though.
that's the thing,
I
like,
mean,
she's
again,
giving you
the
no
world is
no
kind of
choice.
created for him.
She's giving you no choice
Sure,
but to trust her.
but it's still
Yeah.
her story. Like
Yep.
you're
Okay.
starting the game with her, and you're starting the game, and she's there the
Right.
whole entire time. Verso just comes out of nowhere halfway through the game and shows
Makes
up
it about
and it's
him.
like, all right, it's me now.
Me. It's about
It's
me.
his world,
And I'm not.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's real Verso's world, and he's dead.
and
Yeah.
he's
No,
connected to
Verso
him.
did a great thing.
Nah, he's an
Let it be.
imitation.
Yeah, let it be.
If your defense is nobody in the painting is real, then painted Verso isn't real either, and we shouldn't give a fuck.
And that's why he
about him.
wants to kill himself.
He doesn't.
And he wants to
kill
give his
himself
soul a
because
rest.
he is depressed
His soul.
and he can't live with the guilt
painting
of
live
all the
on.
shit he did over the years, and he just wants out.
No, so
'Cause
here's the thing. This is where I'm gonna disagree a little bit. I think Verso's a little gray. He's not bad. Like that's flat out bad. He wanted to save his sister again, just like real Verso. He did not want Mael to kill herself in a fantasy world, which is what he viewed his world as. He had lived for 100 years, and he was, jaded by now
Jaded because
he
he did a
saw
lot
how
of bad
fake
shit.
everything is.
Killed a lot of expeditioners over those 60-something years, including his
killed, like,
lover.
Her.
What? He wiped out
Who
all
else
of the
did he kill?
expedition. Like he wiped out all of Expedition Zero, right? We have logs
I don't think
from
so.
him. Yes. What? Dude, there is an expedition log where it says literally when they got there, when they finally got to the monolith, right? They just they turned on him. Renard and Verso killed the entire Expedition Zero. There's literally a log
Which
that says
one was
that.
that? I didn't see that. I
I
saw
don't
the
know
one
the
where
number,
they
but
were
that is
upset
literally
that
the
he
law.
got cut in half and then came
And
back.
that's another
then he
log
killed
where it's
them when
like,
they-
oh, we
they
saw you
were-
get cut in half, Verso. What's up with that? I gotta kill you. Sorry. And it's like, what the fuck? Get out of here, you piece of shit. No, fuck Verso. He's a bad dude.
no.
He's the definition of a villain.
Alright.
Definition of a villain.
Yep.
I know.
So
I don't know if his
But-
definition of a villain, but I just did not care for that switch up. I wanted Gustav back. And he was
that's what I got.
imitation
I
Gustav.
like the ending.
That was, I mean, he's not. But the problem with Gustav was I was looking for a little more development out of him before he left. He still just was kind of like sad guy.
He got
Like
killed.
that was.
He got
most of what
killed.
he
His
did.
story got cut short.
I know that. That's what as a fucking character, I wanted more time with them.
Yeah, so
to
did
do
I.
something other
did
than
not.
So did
be
I.
sad.
And then we got this piece of shit instead.
No, but
Yeah,
Verso
I'm
had
glad we got.
his mind changed a bunch. I think a few times.
Yeah, because he's a fucking
I'm
bitch
happy-
with zero resolve.
I'm 100% happy with the Mael ending of resurrecting who we wanted to resurrect. The Lumiere's back. And she can exit the painting whenever
Well,
she chooses
it was
to.
definitely presented as
what she
the
said.
bad ending by the game. By
No,
the
no.
way.
The devs have
Look-
even said there are good and bad aspects to
They
both
said
endings.
But if you watch the endings back to back, you can, especially the way like you're ending on like a horror stinger with Mael's ending.
It's
basically.
not a horror stinger. You just think that.
Yes,
Literally,
it
all
is.
you see is her in the painted face version, which is so random and so
Yeah.
out of place. Like, why
Yeah,
would?
that's what they were going for.
But it's not
it's a
horror.
horror
We
stinger. It's like,
saw
look,
it. We've seen all the other.
She's like, oh, she's dying. Everything is fake.
She's not
in torture,
dying.
Like,
She's not
control-
dying.
She's
She's using
dying
her power.
to kill herself in this fake world. Yes.
So hold on. To
She's
you, it
going to
makes sense.
die.
So to you, it makes sense that Aline and Renard lived for 67 years inside the painting without any problems in the real world,
Well,
and Mael's suddenly going to kill herself after 17 years?
No, it's gonna be a while, but in her real life, she's gonna die. Like in like I
Why?
don't know how long that'll take.
Why? Why?
Because that's what they
you're
said was
assuming
gonna
that.
happen.
You're assuming that. There's no proof
So
of that.
we don't believe you don't believe real Renoir
No, I
when he
don't.
says like
Aline just did it. Aline was in there for like 100 years, whatever that equates to in
but
real
we
life.
don't know how long that is in real life. It's like been 2 weeks. There's still a funeral afterwards.
But we know for a fact that my Alicia / Mael has not been in the painting as long as either Aline or Renard, and they were fine, and they're much older.
Right, but
That we
there's
know.
she's still going to be in there until she dies. She's
We
never
don't
gonna
know
be in
that.
the real
You're
world again.
assuming that. You're assuming that. There's no proof of that.
Anyways.
No, Verso.
Verso, the guy who lies.
Proved it when he talked to her.
Verso, the guy who lies the entire game.
No, he's not. He's talking to Mael. Mael's like, you lied to Papa.
Does he not lie the entire
that you were
game?
coming out.
Does he not
He's
lie the
talking
entire
to
game?
her.
Yes or
She's
no?
like,
Does he
yeah.
lie the entire game?
Oh,
He's
no.
not lying. He's asking her what she's
Yes
doing.
or
and
no? Yes or
That
no?
has nothing.
Yes or no?
Yes, that has nothing
Thank
to
you.
do with it.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
the
you.
conversation
Thank
with
you.
Mael.
Thank you.
So when he says you lied, so he's lying when he says you lied to Papa, right? She's like, yes, I did pretty much because he knew, and she both knew. Everyone knew that she was not coming out of that painting ever. So he knows that she's going to kill herself in this world.
He's assuming
in the real
that.
world.
He's assuming that. He has no. He's a fucking
She
painting. What does he
knows
know?
too.
What does he know? He's a fucking painting himself.
He knows. He knows everything. That's why. That's the problem.
He doesn't.
He knows everything.
He doesn't know. He's never been outside the painting. He's a
He
piece
doesn't.
of
Yeah,
shit.
he doesn't know. I don't know about that. Like, I think he can feel
is
that way.
What the ending of that thing is showing you. She's like zombified practically.
That's how
She's in
all the
control
characters
of everyone.
look like when they're using painted power.
No, they have just the eyes, but it's not.
Well, I think this is obviously like up for
It's
interpretation.
clearly
It's
meant to
definitely
be
up
the
for
bad
interpretation.
ending.
I
No,
don't know
that's
if
your
it's
interpretation
clearly.
of it. That's your interpretation.
That's
Each
everyone's interpretation. Watch someone else's view of this.
I've watched more than
I-
you. I guarantee this.
But for me, like I like the idea of males ending more because it's what your goals were early on, and the idea is if you believe these people are real as the people outside, what's one family getting destroyed because they are getting destroyed versus this whole world of people. So I chose males ending, but I do think especially the way it's composed when they show both endings, you're meant to be like, no, you have to accept your grief and move on. Stop hanging on to the past.
You're basically
That's the message.
disabled person the rest of your life.
And
that you
also,
can't
Mael
really-
does become sort of this weird god in the world where you wonder, it's like, does anyone ever die now? Like, what the fuck is she doing? And also, she traps Verso forever. Even
Good.
though he wants to kill himself.
Fuck him. He's
The
a
man
piece of
also
shit.
says-
Or maybe,
I can
maybe
leave.
she compromised and let him age. I'm not sure.
Oh no, that's exactly
But
what
it's
it
not
is, and that's what people love to ignore about the Mael ending. Because literally, so here's the thing. Again, I didn't like Act 3. Like even both endings, I didn't like in certain ways. But
I mean,
so,
you're not supposed to be happy with either end.
No, but I didn't. No, I'm not happy. I didn't like them. I'm saying I didn't like either of them, honestly. But one of them gave me like 80% of what I was looking for. So I was like, okay, I guess that's the one I like. So the fact is, when you get to the head of this, right? So you defeat Renard, you kick him out of the painting, and you get that choice, right? Where it's like, are you gonna? So I didn't like the whole thing with like, hey, by the way, Zip, here's this new area with the last remaining piece of soul of real Verso's soul as a child that's faceless.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? To me, that felt exactly like the fucking Mass Effect 3 ending with the space
Well,
child.
just because it's
It's
a little weird kid. Yeah.
right. Well, I'm just saying, it's like, what? Like, you're at the beginning, now you're at the end. Like, what the? It's weird because, like, yeah, you see him, but it's never established at any point. It's like, oh, like, real Verso's soul is required to keep this painting going. It's this last minute, like, very last minute thing that's like, okay, so now I'm supposed to feel bad because I'm torturing the sliver of real Verso's soul by keeping this painting. I didn't like that. But anyway, so the thing
But you're just ignoring that part that it's in the fiction. It's right there in front of you. You're ignoring that just to be like, oh, that's, I don't agree with that, so
What do you
it
mean?
doesn't count.
I'm saying I
that's
didn't like
'cause-
that because it was the last minute, like, oh, by the way,
Well, we knew his soul was basically powering the whole
We didn't know
universe
that.
already at that point.
No,
Yes,
we
we
didn't.
did.
What? How? Where?
They said Verso's soul is powering this, like the last
Where?
bit of his soul.
Where
is
in the
this. They
narrative? I'm
said it.
asking you. Where? At what
They
point?
said it.
No,
I
it's
don't
his soul.
remember. I knew that
A
before
piece of
we
him
saw
is in the painting. It's
A piece of him is in the painting,
in
not literally. Hey, a piece of his soul is enslaved doing this painting for some reason.
I don't think
Not
the
say
souls power the
enslaved.
painting. I think because the
No,
painter's
I think
power.
that's the. I think
Because
that's the
Mael's in
only
there
thing.
now, so it doesn't matter.
I think that the soul is what makes these people actually be people. Like
That's never
otherwise they are
established in the
just-
narrative.
No,
It's
I don't.
never
I don't
established.
remember
No,
that.
I
I
know
might have
that,
missed it,
but he is powering the painting. Once he stops painting, it's over. Like that's what they
well,
said.
he's not
right
painting
there at
though.
the end.
That was his
He's not
painting. He's
painting.
done painting. He's
Yeah.
not a.
Look,
But that's
Yeah.
what they say to him in this last scene. He's like,
Mm.
you can stop painting now. Once he's like, all right. And he
Right,
just
and I'm
stops
saying
doing
again.
anything,
So I'm
the
saying
whole
that's the
world
last
goes away.
minute like ass pull. Like, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad because all this time, this whole
The
painting is...
end.
Yes,
You don't
we
think
agree
there's
that
gonna
it
be
is the
something
end.
new that
And
happens at
I
the
can say
end?
that I dislike the fact that this entire premise hinges on something that he bring up at the last second.
But it was still known that I thought it was
No.
already told that soul was in the painting and kind of powered it.
If
Like,
you
it
can
was
find a
versus
place where
pain.
that's established in the narrative before the ending,
I think
I
that's
would,
an
I would,
interpretation of it. I think it's an interpretation. That's the whole point of this ending.
I
That's
think
what
it
I
was.
love about the
I
fact.
think it was telegraphed,
But
but and they might
I think
have
it's an
explicitly
interpretation.
said
It's
that.
not telegraphed. But
But it's an
yeah, so
interpretation that they
overall-
confirm because it's there at the end.
overall, you can have a 20-year conversation
no, I
about
mean,
this
that's
ending,
what
which
makes
is
this
what's so
fun,
awesome
though.
about it.
No,
but yeah,
see, but I
fantastic
didn't like
game.
so, I didn't like that ending because again, I didn't like any of the endings because like it feels like they get to have their cake and eat it too, right? Where it's like we want these endings to be controversial. It's a very French thing to do, where it's like, oh,
Sure.
both things have good things about them, and both things have potentially bad things. Although some people surprisingly are very okay with just genociding all the denizens of the painting, being
world.
like,
Yeah,
oh, but they
the
weren't
whole
real,
world.
and I'm like, bro, what the fuck do you mean they're not real? Like, again, if you want to take.
You just played hours of a game with them.
You just played hours. Like, they're not real, so like, why would you give a fuck anyway?
So no one is real. But,
But-
it is interesting. That's why I think it's important to say that they aren't just archetypes, the characters that are just created. But see, so Ryan, I'll call you out / shout you out again. Ryan, who saw like I argue with Ryan about the timeline because I wasn't convinced that Lumiere was created post Real Verso's death. He says it is because that's what he saw from videos, and I'm assuming you've seen that too. That they're created out of grief for grief, just as a way to make this fake person happy, this fake version so happy. So they just don't need to be there anymore once they're over the grief.
No, it's not. It's not for fake version. It's Aline wanting to make herself happy. That was the whole reason she made her entire family.
But that's why she made Invincible. Her son will never die again.
Right, because she doesn't want to lose any of them.
Right.
They made
she wanted to capture a moment
for
of her family,
herself and her family, but it's still born of her grief.
No, absolutely, it's born of her grief. I mean, that's the whole plot of the game is literally how each family member deals with their grief. Right, Aline tries to bury herself. Clea just wants revenge, right, and Renard just wants to save what's left of his family, and Alicia at that point is guilt-ridden and is also disfigured and mute, right? And so it's how each of these family members is dealing with Real Verso's death, which is the beauty of that aspect.
But don't forget, again, like the painted versions are pretty close to the real versions. Painted Verso wanted to die so Real Alicia or Mael could live, and that's why he's so upset at the end. Because he doesn't want to live, but she wants her out of the painting to try to live her life.
So here's the thing, and I know this is going to be very controversial because I've talked to many friends about this, but I am arguing that Painted Verso thinks that that's what he wants and thinks that by rescuing Mael, by kicking her out of the painting, is saving her. But I think that's actually born out of his selfish desire to that happens to coincide with his wanting to not be existing anymore. So in essence, it is really selfish of him, where he's just like, I want to unalive myself, but that also means kicking you out of the painting because you want this painting to continue. And he's just using it as justification.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see any. All of the other painted people are pretty close to their same motivations as their real life version, just from their different perspectives.
Renard's not.
It's exactly the same. It's just they're in a different world. They're protecting their family first.
Well, no, because so Clea got offended by her painted version, and painted over.
Clea can paint over, so that's what makes things different. Like she can change things once, and I guess Aileen could too.
And if both Renards were the exact same, then they would come to agreement that yes, we need to kick Aileen out of the painting, but
no, because their family is still their family first. Like they're the ones they like had a relationship with. So that's why.
But Aileen didn't paint a version of
fundamentally
herself.
Against.
Aileen did not paint a version of herself because she wanted to live as her family. And Painted Renoir is like, all right, I'm your husband now.
Yeah, well, Painted Renoir also still has the rest of his family that he was protecting, though.
Yeah, but if we're in agreement that the painting versions of them are equal to the real versions, you would think then, by that logic, painted Renard would be like, oh shit, I know that I'm not real. I know that real Aline, who's here with me, is putting herself in danger, and her real husband is here to save her. I should help them, but he doesn't. He acts selfishly.
I mean, he's got
He acts selfishly,
kids.
which is what I'm trying to relate
Yep.
to you with Painted Verso acting selfishly.
So all the painted versions are selfish. So yeah, let's erase them all.
I mean, I don't agree with that, but yes, they are all selfish. Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody is selfish. That's kind of the whole thing of the game. Is everybody's acting selfishly in their own ways. It's just who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong? But
it's interpretation.
right,
That's
it's
the
interpretation. Which to me, I like a little bit of interpretation, but to a point where there's too much interpretation. I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
So like the thing is, I get that the Verso ending is supposed to be like, hey, I kicked you out of the painting. You can still live a long, healthy life. You can get over this. You can get through your grief. You can get through your pain. But where it falls apart for me is like, okay, well, first of all, dude, she's disfigured, like hideously scarred, is mute, and assumed chronic pain because of her injuries. I want to say, but I'm not confident in that 100% because it's been a while since I beat the game. So I'm like, dude, you are assuming that kicking her out of the painting where she has a happy life, she could talk, she's not disfigured, right?
That's why I was looking at it like, yeah.
And you're kicking her out of the painting, be like, oh, there. And then the other thing is, he goes, you're a talented painter. You can live in any world you want after this. And that to me was like, okay, so what's stopping her from Verso's perspective from being like, okay, well, I'm just going to paint my own version of Lumiere. Fuck you, right? But then she just goes kills herself in another painting. What Painted Verso is proposing is not a permanent solution to the problem. It's just a temporary solution to the problem that Mayel has right now, and that
current problem.
Right, exactly, her current problem, and he doesn't give a fuck what she does. It's like, yeah, go kill yourself in another painting. Just don't do it in mine, and that's selfish.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Anyways,
It's a leap. You're assuming that.
Mine is a leap. Mine is a leap.
Yes.
Wow.
I think Jim wants to get some final thoughts here.
Yeah,
So
final thoughts, guys. Love the game. Love the ending. Obviously, you can have this kind of conversation with it, but it was such a great
I think
gameplay
it's good to
experience.
have this conversation. It is a little unsatisfying overall. Like when I saw the binary choice, I'm like, ugh. But I see why they did it. This is fun in a way to sort of argue this. I do think they tip their hand a little too much because they say obviously there's good and bad, but I think they tip their hand too much by if they changed like the order of how things were with the male ending, it might be different. But it's just like, oh, everything's happy, everything's perfect, and it's like, bam, everything's fucked. Like that's how that's presented.
Yeah.
And then for the other one, it's just like, oh, this is so sad. But
I didn't even care about the other one. I didn't watch it.
Fuck.
You got your ending.
You're like,
Watch
no,
your ending.
like,
I had to watch it.
That's awesome.
I had to watch it afterwards. But I had to watch it
No.
afterwards.
it
but-
ends
for
on
me-
a higher note, and it's called like a life to love as opposed to a life to paint.
I understand where Verso's coming from, but I was just like, Miles' ending is going to be my ending because this is the story, this is the game that I've been playing. This is the story. This is everything that I'm doing is for her, and whatever she wants.
Also-
that's the ending for me. And I
Also, if
was
you want
not
to
very
play more
happy.
afterwards, it
So
only
hold
makes
on.
sense if you
Real
choose
quick, I just
that.
want to go over one thing that we brought up earlier. When Verso admitted to Mael that he let Gustav die, I really think he doomed himself there if we go by Mael ending, because honestly, out of everybody in the painting or the real world, I believe it was Gustav who actually could have convinced Mael to be like, hey, I'm not saying you can never come back to the painting, but maybe don't stay here the entire existence, right? Because out of
Willow-
everybody,
Here.
Gustav
The
is
only
the
problem
one.
though here is the
No,
only
because
problem
that's
with
the
that
one
is
that she would listen to.
Yeah.
we've
Versus
established
people with respect.
some pretty healthy time dilation. Is like if you jump in and out of the painting, like how much time really like Aileen must have went immediately back in after she was kicked out to be back like a couple days later. Because like we said, like
Oh yeah, that was the whole
Vince-
thing. He's like, "You're killing yourself" by when she shows up in the last fight.
yeah, he's like, oh, you can't be in here that quick. So but time dilation is crazy, like the whole existence of it. Like real Verso died at 26, according to his headstone. And so the whole history has been like from the Gestrel's time. I mean, like, what did they say? Did they say that was like 1,000 years? Like Esquier is 1,000 years old or something? think they might have said something like that.
Yeah,
I
a
don't,
long time.
I
Yeah.
don't remember that part.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think there's
So-
gestures that even say like, "Oh, Lumiereans weren't always in this world" or something like that, to my knowledge. But I could be wrong on that one. That was,
Yeah, but so if you go in and out, like everyone's gonna age like 100 years if you like take a few days.
well, so
So,
here's the thing, right?
I don't know if you can do that.
Right. So I know Jim, you want to get the one last thing. So the assumption is you can have very positive or negative outlooks on each of the endings. My personal one of Mael's ending is right before Painted Verso gomages in Mael ending, where he's like, "I don't want this life. I don't want this life. I don't want this life," and she's like, "You know, what if I just wanted to live out this one life with you, brother, because we were robbed of it in the real world." And he's still repeating himself, "I don't want this life, I don't want this life." And she goes, "Well, what if, you could grow old? Would that make you smile again, right?" And then it fades to black, and then all of a sudden we're back in Lumiere.
The answer is no, though, but she tried.
Well, she tries, but my personal interpretation there, because when we see Verso on stage, he has even more white hair, indicating that
Yeah,
he's
he
growing
looks old.
older, right?
Mhm.
And even longer.
Indicating that, he can now grow old and can now die. There is a finite ending to his life inside the painting. So my thing there is
That's what I
that
got.
in best case scenario, and you might disagree with this, I expect you to disagree with it. In the best case, Mael gets to live out her life with her brother, with Gustav, and then once they pass away, maybe at that point she has lived a satisfied life inside the painting and has now overcome her grief to be like, okay, now I'm ready to go outside the painting and live my life as Alicia in the real world with, real the Desandre family and stuff like that. But that's the optimistic ending of that one. Just like the optimistic interpretation of Verso ending is that, hey, even though there's a tough choice, everybody can come together and overcome their grief, right? Because the pessimistic ending of that is like, well, you just genocided a whole painting in 3 different races, so I guess you're cool with that.
No, listen, I tend to choose Mael's ending. I just think it's a little grayer than how you presented
Well,
it.
no, I think it's absolutely intended to be like, hey, there's some things that are a little fucked up here, right? Or it's like, it's not 100% good, it's not 100% bad. But that's the beauty, but that's a double-edged sword. Anyway, fantastic game,
Yep.
love it. I think the devs even confirmed we will see more DLC stuff
Yeah,
now.
just recently. They
Yeah,
just
like
mentioned
this
that
past
there
week or
might
something.
actually be DLC, which I don't know how they're. I guess they'll just set it before, like.
I would
the
love to
ending,
see
really.
Expedition 60, I believe it was. I don't know if you guys got the log of that, but
The
Expedition
naked
60
ones?
was the naked
Yeah.
team that just
Swimmers?
used muscles to overcome everything and got to the actual paintress. And the only reason they got stopped was because they ran out of time and gommaged. Like, that to me, I want to fucking play that game. I want to play that. Yeah,
They
exactly.
already
Naked
got the
60.
jiggle physics,
Yeah.
so might as well.
Exactly.
The
But
jiggle
yeah,
physics
good
are
idea.
there in this game.
yeah, wonderful game. Over a 9 for me,
Awesome.
maybe 9.5. Loved it.
Yeah.
Love the discussion,
9.5.
even though
The fact that it can generate a conversation like this
No,
is
it's fun. I mean, and I've been
is-
waiting like a month for this.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, testament to what they've created.
And I can't
Fantastic
wait
music.
to hear Ryan. I'm ready for your rebuttal to all
Yeah.
of us.
But yeah, fantastic music, fantastic. Like, I would just go into battles just to listen to the music.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it
music's
was
crazy. I just-
awesome. Characters were great. Story was interesting, and obviously we have a great conversation here. I am a Mael fan, and although she does have like a little villain turn there at the end, but I do
earned it.
think
She earned it. She's girl bossing.
Yeah.
She's
Got
girl
it.
bossing.
yeah, and I think that that ending was great. I liked the fact that
That was
it
great.
made it you think like, is it happy ending or is it a sad ending or is it what she wanted? Who knows? But she's delusional. Like, that's where I'm at. She's
Doesn't matter.
lost it a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
yeah.
the
I
thing
think
is,
it's the idea of it was
yeah.
either ending was going to be sad or
I-
happy, and happy. So,
The way you can look at it is like, not only like one, and I don't mean to be genderist or sexist or anything like that, but I'm just using what she is. She's a teenage girl. Not only is she one teenage girl, she's actually 2 teenage girls in one body. So like, that's got to be like, whoa, like really weird.
You would
and-
think she would know the nature of both worlds better than anyone else, and she had 16 years in both. But
Right,
her life
so
really does suck.
if that's what she
extra
wants,
in the real
she has
world,
perspectives on both
man.
worlds. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, but I
so-
mean, she sucks. Her life sucks extra in the real world. And
That's what I'm
she's a
saying. I agree with
god
you,
in the
yeah.
other world.
well,
So it's
you're gonna die no
skews
matter
things
what.
a little
So
bit.
might as well have fun. That's my opinion. Might as well have fun. Anyway, fantastic
I mean,
game. Love
yeah.
music. Love
Playing together.
story,
That was
graphics,
part.
everything. must play. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you listen to this podcast,
Mhm.
you either played the game already or you didn't care, in which case, sorry, but you should still play it anyway. It's fantastic.
For sure.
It's fantastic.
Still my
All right,
front
that's gonna
runner
wrap it
so
up.
far for the game of the year.
It is. Gonna wrap up this bonus round, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Leave us your comments in YouTube if you're watching this. Give us a comment like what you think. Also on Twitter here, on Twitch. I'm sorry, on Twitter. On Twitch. We'll talk to you guys next week. We are out.